Hello and welcome to my podcast on radical self-love, an Ayurvedic perspective on healing body and mind. My name is Sandra Hayes and I'm a Vedic practitioner, meaning I utilize Ayurveda, yoga and Vedic astrology as well as transformational creativity to help you become a conscious creator of your own life, health and well-being. For more information and for access to my online learning platform, The Little School of Happiness, please go to www.sandrahayes.eu. So what actually is human nature? What do we as human beings really need in order to thrive? The Vedic scriptures describe 4 things that we really need, all of us, regardless of our culture or climate or age or race or whatever it is. Every human being needs these 4 things. The first thing is what's called artha, and that is to do with physical safety. We need to be safe. And to be physical safe, we need to be healthy. We need to have good food. We need to have shelter. We need to be warm when it's cold outside. We have to be able to look after our health. Of course, to do all these things in our society, we need a certain amount of money. Now, we don't need a lot of money. We don't need to be rich. That's a different thing. But we need to have enough money to enable us to provide us with all of the things that we need to keep our body safe. It includes health and diet as well. And that is a basic human need that we have. And every child has the need to be safe and to be nourished with good food, with breast milk, wherever it's possible. And then continuing on with healthy, clean food. That is a basic human right. Or human need, really. And then the second thing is karma, is the need for connection. All of us have a need to be connected, even if we might think, oh, but I'm an introvert, I don't need people. We are human and we need human connection because we need to be seen as the authentic self that we are. It is detrimental to any human being to not be seen at all or to not feel seen at all. So we need human connections, and connected to that also is the feeling of love, the feeling of joyfulness, the ability to feel joy and to feel love. And that also is a human need, a basic human need. And that connection, it starts after birth, the connection between our family members and later our friendships and later still our romantic relationships and still also friendships. Friendships are very important human connections because they are the kind of connections that allow the person to be themselves, to be seen, and that is not a luxury. It is a human need, and it's one that is not as easy to meet as we might think these days, because we are so conditioned as a society. We are so conditioned to wear masks all the time to show what we think it is that the outside world wants to see from us, but yet, in doing that, we hide our true self. And if we hide our true self, we cannot be seen. It's impossible to be seen. And that really is detrimental, and it leads to a lot of mental health issues. And in fact, any traumatic experience is, as Gabor Mate, for example, would describe trauma as not the traumatic thing that happens to you, but the wound that results from it. And that wound always has to do with losing the connection to your own essence, with not being able to be yourself. And that is actually the next third of the 4 very basic human needs in the Vedic scriptures. And that is dharma. And dharma is the need to live out my calling, to be who I am meant to be, to do the things I do according to my nature, my true nature. And we are all humans, but we're also all varieties of humans. We're all different Ayurvedic constitutions. We have different paths in life, and it is my human need to follow that path. If I am a person who's very, very creative and enjoys anything that is creative and is very social and needs human connection, and then I choose a path in life for whatever reason, I end up alone in some bookkeeping office, and then I will certainly not thrive. I will whatever is the opposite of thriving, I will really fall apart. Probably I will be very unbalanced in my energy and in my emotions, and eventually also in my physical health. So to really follow a path according to my nature is a human need. And sometimes people might say, but I don't even know what is my nature or what is my calling. Well, then we go back and see what gives me joy. And I've talked about that in the last episode, about the importance of following the path of joy, the path of whatever is my greatest excitement, because that will lead me to my calling. And also it's kind of a need to be needed. We all have that need to be needed, to be able to give something to this world. And we may not be aware of it, because we may think, what do I have to give? Or why do I need, I need to get things, but I don't need to give anything. But yeah, actually we do. It's really important to give, because only in extending my energy out is it that I create true connection, and that I experience the unity that there is in the world, that I actually am a part of the whole. I am not separate. I cannot experience that if I am not extending my energy out. If I stay in my energy and I stay contracted into me, even if other people extend out to me, it may be very difficult for me to feel connected, because only in the act of extending out do I open myself sufficiently in order to feel really connected. And so giving becomes really, really important. And in fact, in Jyotish, in the Vedic astrology, it is one of the most powerful remedies to give, to do an act of kindness, to do charity, to extend my energy in the direction that I want to remedy. So giving is really a really powerful tool, in fact. And then the fourth thing that is, a basic need of human beings is moksha, which is liberation. And that is not only the need to actually be free, to not be, captive of anything, to not have anyone suppressing me and my freedom, but it is also the freedom that I can create, that I can only create for myself, and that is the freedom from unconscious conditionings, from trauma, from my inner demons that may keep me captive. Because as long as I have those things, as long as I have unconscious conditionings that lead me to react in certain ways to my surrounding, that are triggers for certain feelings as well, I cannot be free, because it all depends then on the surroundings. And only if I free myself from those thoughts or belief systems, then I can be free and I can act in freedom. And I've talked about this in the last episode a little bit as well, of the resistance that, we should try and maybe, look at and let go. And in some way, this really is the ultimate goal of any human life. The ultimate calling of us as human beings is that we shed those old beliefs. We shed light onto unconscious conditionings. We shed light onto experiences we may have had that caused us to be to have a wound inside of us. And that wound is like Gabor Mate so beautifully describes it. It's a wound, and it can be an open wound. And if you touch an open wound, it's really painful. So if you walk around life with a wound in your unconscious mind, with a wound in your emotional unconscious being, and somebody touches that wound, then it's very, very painful. If you don't have that wound and somebody touches you on that, in that place, it's not painful. So if somebody says something to you, it depends on whether or not you have a wound, how you react to it. If you have no wound whatsoever, then, it's not something that would really hurt you. But also, on the other hand, if that wound has already scarred over and the scar tissue doesn't have a lot of nerve endings, and it's the opposite almost, and you're numb and you don't feel anything, and that's also a result of that wound, of that wounding. But if we have a physical wound, a physical scar tissue, we may not be able to do a lot about it, but in the psychological sense, if we have a wound, then we can, because it's subtle energy can be changed. It's changeable. So we can actually heal our inner wounds. And how do we do that? Is like so many things written in the Yoga Sutras. There are many methods described on how we can do that. But before I get to that, it's an interesting part is those four things, those four basic human needs. We can describe those four parts also with our development of consciousness energetically. So when we are born into complete helplessness. And what we really need most is physical safety. And we depend on other people in order to get that, to be safe. We can't provide ourselves with physical safety. So we have to, the first lesson in life is trust. We really have to trust other people. We have to trust, and we have to let go. We have to surrender. We have to surrender to our surroundings, to the people around, to our universe. And also that I've talked about in the last episode. What is that surrender? What do the Yoga Sutras say about it? But in this first moments, or even the first few years, we really are completely helpless, and we have to surrender. And that is the first lesson. And then the second lesson, maybe after, if you go by the 7-year cycle, after 7 years or so, we change, then that is the chakra system. The first chakra, Muladhara chakra, connected to the element of earth that stabilizes us. This is our first lesson of being stabilized, to be secured in life. To find that feeling, that sense of safety, that primal trust. And only when we have that primal trust, then we can go to the next lesson, and that is the following our path of joy. That is the element of water. It's where we begin to flow through life, where we begin to follow a path. And that path is the path of joy. And ideally, in an ideal world, this is where we learn who are we actually. And this is why this is the second chakra, Swadhisthana, the seat of the self. And this self is formed in that stage. The actual self, who am I in this human incarnation? Who am I? What do I want? What am I good at? What brings me joy? What brings me excitement? And as children, we learn this through play. And also what happens during this time is we form connections from the age of maybe 7 to 14, we form important friendships. We start to extend out our energy to other people. And we experience joy and we experience love and friendship. And this is a really important stage as well. And then when we are, lucky enough to get through that stage without any wound of trauma, then we get to the fire stage, the transformative stage. We get to the Dharma stage, where we really have maybe found we are developing our own personality. And that is when we are maybe between the ages, this is a rough guideline, but between the ages of 14 and 21 is where we go through our adolescence. And this is a very strong time of transformation, a very fiery time. But at the same time, if we have gone through the first 2 stages unscathed and in a good way, then we can actually we can find our true personality, our Dharma, and we can be in our Dharma. We can live our Dharma. We can find out, okay, this is what I want to do in life. This is where I can, bring something to the table, or, this is where I can try myself out and be myself, be my authentic self. Who am I, and then after that begins the giving stage, where we extend out, we extend our energy out, we eliminate, we let go of the notion of ego and separateness. And in our development, that might be the age of between 21 and 28, if we go by the 7-year cycle. And that is the age where very often in human lifespans, this is the time where we become a parent, we have children, we become parents, and we learn to not take ourselves as the center of the universe anymore. We let go of the notion of I am the most important person, because, now we have experienced unconditional love, and we have learned what it means to make another human being more important than ourselves. And this is a natural development, but even people who don't have children learn it in other ways. Maybe they have they go through a career of giving, they can do it through their career, through their maybe they have a whatever job as a nurse, or as a whatever it is, where you also have metaphorical children. You have other people that you take care of in whatever way, and you learn that same lesson. Then just being an actual mother or father is maybe the most powerful way. I'm not sure. I had children, and I did find it a very, very powerful lesson in unconditional love and in surrendering of the ego. And I'm sure there's other ways too. And though these are the lessons, these are really the 4 dimensions that we have to go through in order to raise our frequency enough to then be in our true state. And interesting is that we have to let go of our ego, and we have to give something out. We have to give our energy out in order to actually arrive to our true self. And that is that is the fifth chakra, the Vishuddhi chakra, where we really express our voice, where we have a voice, even where we get, a clear, true voice that is beyond the sense of self that comes from the ego mind. And Patanjali describes this also in the Yoga Sutras, and he gives us advice of what we can focus on in order to build, to evolve, or to build our evolution and strengthen our evolution and fulfill those basic human needs. Because if we want to go through any transformation, we can only do so by going through all of those stages. So even if as adults, if we want to evolve in a certain way, we have to go back to that stage of basic safety, security, trust, primal trust. And only if that trust is there, and often that is the trust in ourselves. Do we actually trust our own bodies even? Do we trust our own mind, the functions of our mind? Do we trust the universe at large and, what life in itself? So that's what we have to work on first then. And then the next stage is to become playful again and see what brings me joy. Because if there is nothing that brings me joy, then probably we have to go back and find that state of primal trust again, first of all. And this is what Patanjali describes as well in one of his sutras, is where he tells us that what we need first is trust, shraddha. And this trust is something we can work on. We can work on by letting go of, or by working on letting go of any fear that we might have. We could work on our finding trust by seeking out the things that make us feel secure. We can start in the physical body with that, because, a connection to our own physical body will make us feel strong and secure. To strengthen the body also means to strengthen our sense of security and trust. So the first step, as it also is in any trauma therapy, is to work with the body, to connect with your body, and have maybe have a yoga practice, and ideally a yoga practice that allows the body to come into balance again with all of its systems. And often that it depends on the state we're in at this present moment. Sometimes in order to find balance, we just have to let go. And sometimes something like a yin yoga practice might be the best thing. But in the long run, I actually think a practice like what it is offered in the Ashtanga yoga system, and I don't mean, as I never do, I don't mean to rigidly follow the whole primary series every day or something like that, but to take intelligently from that series and practice it so that our body will gain in strength again, gain in flexibility, and we gain a good relationship to the body. And so the body can actually heal itself. And also through firing up, our metabolism and increasing our Agni, our metabolism, our digestive fire. And so this is really a starting point. But then the next step is the emotions, is to work with the emotions. And yes, we can do a lot of inside work, working on our emotions that are therapeutic. But I think the best way here is to literally follow your joy. Do creative things, sit down and paint and draw or sing, or, do whatever brings you joy, and be creative. And go for walks, enjoy, or play a card game with your friends. When have you played a game the last time, or whatever it is, or think back to your childhood, what actually excited you in your childhood, and do that again. And I think we've all heard these practices. We've all heard of, the advice of do what brings you joy. But I think that sometimes we still don't give it enough importance, because in our society, in this patriarchal society of goal-orientated, logical, academic achievements, we really forget the importance of emotions and joy. And that is dangerous, actually, to forget about that, to not take that as important enough, or to wait until we need therapy in order to really listen to our inner sense of what gives me joy. So that is very, very important. And that is what Patanjali says also. After the trust comes virya, and that is the vitality, and that comes from the emotions. Our vitality always comes from the state of well-being. If we feel emotionally drained, then we are not vital. But if we have an emotional high, then we have a lot of energy, we have a lot of vitality. So the emotions and our sense of vitality is very strongly connected. And then we need to begin to remember smrti. We need to begin to remember who we are. Who are we in this world? What is our place in this world? What is our dharma? We have to remember that. And we also have to remember the past. We have to remember past lessons, because other than if we don't do that, then we repeat the same mistakes over and over again and again. And we can see that everywhere in history. We can see that in politics all the time. I live in Germany, where, it's all about, let's not forget the past. And yet sometimes it does repeat history does repeat itself, and it repeats itself, not only in Germany, but everywhere. And so a memory to retain what has been learned is really important. And how do we retain something is not by just trying to remember something, but by integrating it. So it becomes, it is about integration. We have to integrate ourselves into society, and we have to integrate life into ourselves, our, belief systems that we actually want to live out, that are positive, that are good for us. We have to integrate it. It's like any hero's journey. We go on a hero's journey. We go on that path of evolution. We learn something, we face our demons, and we maybe even, fight our demons, and they're gone, and we're free from any old trauma, and we shed our old skin, and then we emerge new. And we have to then embody that. We have to integrate all the lost parts that we have lost on the way. We have to bring them back, and we have to become whole as a person again. And then we can experience samadhi, this wholeness. This is what Patanjali describes as well. This is actually what he describes is really the hero's journey, because we have to be in full trust first of all, and then we have to go on an adventure with our emotions and vitality, and follow the path of joy. And then we can bring back the treasure, and then we have to integrate it and become whole again. And that is that missing pieces. Samadhi is when we become whole, and when all the parts that we have lost, where we have not been connected to our essence, that we are connected again, and we bring it back. And in order to achieve that, we may not see that from where we are standing now. And we cannot achieve it from where we are standing now. We have to actually go through all those steps. That's important. That is the hero's journey. And so I want to challenge you for this week. I want to suggest to you to really try and follow that path. See if you are in your faith, in your trust, in your body, work with your body, and then do what brings you joy, do what brings you the most excitement, and then embody that. Bring it back into your life, integrate it into your life. And then you may experience that flow state of life again. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you feel like joining any of my live classes on Zoom, then please write a message. And if you want to have a look at my online school, go to the Little School of Happiness. Because for now, I will have a little bit of a break. This was my 9 episodes on yoga. And if you're interested in Ayurveda, go to the Ayurveda. Season 1 is about Ayurveda. And the next time you hear from me will be about Jyotish. And I look forward to that. And I look forward to hearing from you. Please write me a message. Leave a review, maybe, if you can. That would be great. And I will talk to you soon again. Bye for now. You were listening to a podcast on radical self-love, an Ayurvedic perspective of body and mind by Sandra Hayes and the Little School of Happiness. For more information and offers, go to www.sandrahayes.eu.